Yeah.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. This is the Green Bay Housing Authority. Today is August 25th, 2018. We have roll call, so that'll be online, so we can move on to approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I will make that motion.
Okay, is there a second? And I'll second. So we have a motion and a second. Do we need to log in and approve this or something?
I think through your agenda minutes, you can do voice vote.
Okay. So all in favor of the agenda as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Moving on. Now, how do I get back?
Back.
I tried that. That's not
Oh, I don't know.
Let me go back. No, I don't want to leave the meeting. All right, here we go. Okay. So we've approved the agenda. Item C, approval of minutes. We have the July 19th, 2018 minutes. You've all received them. Any additions or corrections? Otherwise, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to regular business, section D, item number 1, consideration with possible action to award Mason Manor parking lot repair, sealing and striping contract the lowest responsive and responsible bidder not to exceed $25,000.
Okay, so I'm passing out for you the quote summary that just came in. This Tuesday was the quote deadline date. So we had 2 vendors who submitted quotes, and as you'll see, one of them came in lower than we expected, and the other one was quite a bit higher than the other. So the low bid is at $15,900. So we would like to request approval to award the contract to this, to American Pavement Solutions.
I'm looking for this. It's not here.
Did you do any follow-up on this? Because it looks like they're almost like bidding on a couple of different things here that don't match up. Like in project 3, one of them has 280 square feet and the other one is 105 square feet. Is that only less than half? And then in project 4, they've got 735 square feet and the other one's 135 feet. But those are lower but higher, the cost is higher.
That is a very good question, and I wonder if purchasing would have an answer to that. I apologize that I didn't see that.
I wouldn't have caught it either. I would have looked at 21 heats, 8 heats. Oh, but the 8 heats and the 3 heats are different on the 3.
And I believe the different companies, when I was at the site visit, they have different sizes that they do for, the 2 different companies
Sure.
have different sizes for one another for their heats. But the total square footage should be the same.
Well, what I'll do is I'll make a motion to approve the lowest bidder, subject to your follow-up. If there's some discrepancy here, good, thank you for that word. Some discrepancy with the numbers here, we can revisit it, but otherwise, if it looks like this is going to be not affect the overall pricing on this, then let's go with American Pavement Solutions.
And I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, this I think we have to vote on.
Yes.
All right. Confirm vote. Yes. And
You can't move.
Okay.
And that has passed.
Okay. That passed.
And moving on to item number 2, consideration with possible action to award Green Bay Housing Authority tree trimming and removal contract to lowest responsive and responsible bidder not to exceed $17,000.
So this one was a challenging contract. We had a list, the forestry department was kind enough to go to some different, all of our scattered sites, to look at which trees, their concern was those that were infested with emerald ash borer needs to be removed. And while they were out at those sites, they also made note of different trees that needed to be trimmed. So we put together a scope with that information, and purchasing helped with that, of course, and they did a really great job trying to be as inclusive as they could, using a similar contract that was used previously to put in some detailed scope. But then there was only one bidder who inquired and looked into it, and purchasing eventually did not get any other bids from anybody else. And in talking to the one bidder that was looking at bidding, he felt he couldn't give a good price based just on the information that was in there. He wanted more information. So myself, Jackie, and David, our maintenance guy, looked at this very closely, trying to determine, what could be done, how can we change this and still make it effective and streamlined. And what we ended up doing, and Jackie in purchasing confirmed that she did her due diligence to make sure that we did quote this out the best we could, and gave other vendors the opportunity. What was decided to do was to ask this one company who expressed interest if they could give a quote based on time and materials instead of the exact properties. So they put this together. I don't want you to get alarmed at the price that's on there, please, because this is just based on time and materials, and it does say that, let's see, towards the bottom, sites can be added or removed at the same time and material rate. Due to this time and material project, the total cost would change if sites are added or removed. So the cost is much more than we can afford to do all of them, but we're going to focus on the ones that we must do and just pay the $85 per man-hour price if you agree to do, to approve this at that rate.
Is there some reason that forestry can't do this themselves?
Yes, we did talk to them. They have done such things in the past for us, but they really consider that to be a favor that they've done. We are a separate entity from the city, and they are not obligated to do that for us. And they don't have the time. They are busy with many other city trees. And B, the extent of this project, they wouldn't, it's quite extensive, so they can't.
So none of the trees are on city property then? Apparently they're all on our property. Okay.
These are all, yeah.
Wow, look at University Avenue, the whole avenue.
They're all scattered site, yeah. And just, it's the same way with the redevelopment authority. With our properties as well, we have to go out and bid tree removal just because
Sure.
they're too busy, so. It's not just GPH.
Yeah. And we really are hoping to get this contract in place today, if you feel comfortable, because the federal REAC inspections take place next week, and they could cite us for dead trees or for trees that are touching roofs. But if we have a contract in place, even if the work isn't done, but we have a contract to show that it will be done, then we can get points back on that if they don't.
So my question would be, what type of a total are we looking at? And which ones are we looking at doing?
There are 10 trees, I believe, that need to be removed. So that would be our focus at this
Okay.
point. I don't know.
And are they scattered, or are most of them at Mason Manor?
Most of
or-
them are on University.
Or on University, okay.
But there are others at other scattered sites.
Okay, so we would just focus on tree removal right now.
Right, and as it states, it's a crew of 3 arborists would be, for an 8-hour day would be $2,040. So they're anticipating one big tree might take a full day.
Oh, okay.
That would be surprising.
No, I mean, my brother-in-law is a lawyer, so I understand that. So we're looking at how many, 10 trees you said?
10 trees.
So then we'd be looking at $22,000 approximately?
And I don't know what we have in the budget offhand.
Well, we're not to exceed the 17,000, so we're just under what we
Okay.
would need, but, not everything has to be done this year, per se, because, you know,
Yeah,
I don't know if they'd have time to do them all this year.
Can we hire these guys to do the stuff that we need to have done, like right away? But then can we go for bid again if we don't do this till spring?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
so. And
So then it's just kind of getting, this is really a reaction to the reacts, to try to get the,
Well, but I think it's
Stuff
good
done.
property management.
I agree.
I agree.
If the tree goes
My-
down, we'd have a lot more, yeah.
My thought was that we authorize this to go ahead today, and then we just get like a monthly report as to where this is in terms of how much we're spending. I'm sure it would be in the budget anyway, or in the financial reports anyway, but just something to highlight every month, so, you know, we authorized time and materials, and so far, you know, this month we
We've spent
spent
this much
X,
to
and
date.
this is what the total is, so we can kind of keep an idea of how much we're spending on this. And then if it looks like it's, you know, if it looks like it's getting more expensive than we thought, then maybe at that point we look to go out to bid. But I don't, you know, again, on the second component of that is I don't want to waste purchasers' time
right.
chasing
for
this around
bidding.
again if we only got one bidder this time. So if we've got somebody that's interested in doing it, let's work with them. And again, if it starts getting way out of line, whatever that might be, then we'll look at it again. So I would make a motion to approve this as a time and material, subject to us monitoring it on a regular basis.
And can I throw in not to exceed the 17,000 that's down there, or are you not worried that it would do that?
It sounds like if we do these 10 trees, we're gonna exceed the 17.
if we have enough in the budget.
Do we have
Yeah.
more than 17 to spend on tree removal?
We can always move things around, but,
Because it seems like if we have a dead tree, that's probably,
yeah.
we should look at maybe
You
moving
get
some
it down
things around.
Yeah.
before nature brings it down,
Right.
so. If we've got 10 trees that are an issue, I think we will have to exceed the 17, just.
Correct, so do we want to put something stipulating that, the 10 trees that are down, not to exceed the 10 trees that are down until further study, you know what I mean? If there's 10 trees that need to come down, that could be the budget, and then after that, we look at it. I mean, I guess I want to make some clarifications in the motion.
That's feasible, but one thing that occurs to me in regards to that is if they're on a property where there are some other trees that just need some trimming, it would be less expensive for them to take care of that at
Right
the same
away.
time.
And along that same line, I've run into some situations with some tree trimming, that same point is that they
Correct.
may need to actually trim some other trees to
Just to
be
get
able
those
to
down.
take down the dead one.
Yep.
So that it doesn't destroy the living tree when you take the dead one down. You may have to trim the living one, so that's why I'm a little reluctant to just have that dollar amount. That's why I want to do more of a monitoring thing every month.
But they could possibly get a lot done in a month.
Yeah, well, it
It also won't
also,
be soon.
Oh, it won't
Because
be.
they are booked out.
Oh,
That's probably
okay.
why we can't get bids. 'cause it's-
Gotcha.
but
Sure.
that was also 3 arbors for an 8-hour workday. If the tree isn't big, if it's a moderate-sized tree, or if it comes down rather easily, they might not need, they're not billing us for a full day. They'll bill us for the hours that they use, so,
Sure.
I mean,
We won't know what that
So,
is.
and I agree in part with your motion, but I guess I would want a little bit more clarity in it, so we're not leaving ourselves open to just,
Okay.
I can throw out something else that we discussed, was having an arborist go to each of these properties and put together a more detailed spec. We would have to pay that person for their time.
I don't think we want to put any more money into it. I guess I'd rather put the money into taking the trees down, but an addendum to that it would be monitored.
Well, let's just move along, let's go with the 17, like you said. So we'll put a cap on it at 17 for now, if we need to look at it in the future, we'll do that.
Bring it back and.
Bring it back.
Okay, and I would agree with that. I would agree with that, yes.
So we have a motion and a second. The motion is to authorize this contract on a time and material basis with continued monitoring in an amount not to exceed $17,000. And if it does, it has to come back. Okay, so that's the motion.
That sounds great.
Who's second?
Is there a second?
I did.
All right, it's a motion and a second. Now my screen black.
Oh, that's because you're not using it.
Didn't touch it.
I don't know. You're not touching it enough, apparently.
Spikes? There we go. All right. All right.
All right.
Motion approved. All right, moving on to item number 3. Consideration with possible action to amend Chapter 4, entitled Applications, Waiting List, and Tenant Selection of the Admissions and Continued Occupancy Plan to provide a move-on strategy preference.
Okay, so as the cover sheet in your agenda packet explains, HUD has a new initiative that they're encouraging housing authorities to consider called the Move-On Strategy, which would essentially a housing authority could add an additional preference to their preferences on the waiting list that would allow participants in permanent supportive housing to be able to move on from that program into other subsidized housing programs. The permanent supportive housing is both a housing subsidy as well as intensive case management. And if a participant gets to the point that they no longer need that intensive case management, but they just need the housing subsidy, then this strategy will allow them to be able to get into another program, such as public housing in our case, or in the case of the BCHA, possibly into the HCV program. And that...
And say with the HCV program, Housing
Choice Voucher. Thank you.
No, that's okay.
So the couple of benefits to this are it moves people out. They're generally, they need to be homeless before they are eligible for the permanent supportive housing. So it's a continuum of care,
Sure.
moving from homelessness to permanent supportive housing to eventually affordable housing without the intensive services, and hopefully eventually being on their own self-sufficient. Another big advantage to this is it really is a cost savings to the community, because permanent supportive housing is considered to be 2 to 3 times more costly to the community for those services than just the subsidized housing. So if you would be willing to consider this, what this would do for us is add the second preference, which is indicated in red in your handout. So our first preference would remain for families who are involuntarily displaced because of a government action or natural disaster. And then we would add in a second preference, which would be for these families. And it's limited. There's only one program in Brown County one agency, I should say, in Brown County that has this program, and that is NewCap. And it's currently 45 participants in that family, in that program. And they have applied for additional funding for up to 15 more, so they could possibly have an expanded program. And NewCap anticipates maybe about 5 participants a year would move on from that program to be eligible for other subsidized housing.
Which then frees up spots in that original program
Sure.
to provide more homeless assistance.
So they start out with a voucher from, starts out with a voucher from NewCap?
Yes.
And then that voucher is kind of like our housing choice voucher, which then helps to subsidize the apartment.
Right, but in addition to that
By
housing
housing unit.
subsidy, they are required to have case management.
Correct.
By NewCap.
And that's what I was going to ask. So is the case manager also provided by NewCap?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And then they follow that person until they are more self-sufficient, and then it just turns over into a housing choice voucher?
Well, they would still have to go through the application
That's how it's
process. It's
okay.
not automatic.
Okay.
They would apply, they would have to go through the same screening that any other applicant would. And then they would be selected in accordance with these preferences.
Okay.
So now with us, with public housing, the participant would have to, of course, be interested to move to one of our units, and we would have to have an available unit for them to move to. The difference with the Brown County Housing Authority with the voucher program is they could potentially continue living where they have been living
Just
and
vouchers.
switch the type of voucher that's subsidizing them, yes.
So do you know who the population is that they primarily serve? So is it recent released inmates? Is it those on parole? Is it just homeless?
They do need to be chronically homeless.
Oh, okay.
I know they follow a Housing First model.
Okay.
So with that, I believe that they do not have to screen for criminal activity and those types of things. So that may
That's-
eliminate
I was
some
wondering.
people from being eligible.
Correct, from
for
moving
this.
into, that's what I
Yes.
was wondering, is truly where is that gonna be, and how many slots could we see being continuously coming available, you know, on a regular basis through New Cap? But I think it's a great idea. I mean, I think it's a very good idea. So,
All right, is there a motion to approve the amendment to chapter 4?
Make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion
and I'll second.
and we have a second. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying
Right.
yes.
Yes.
Pushing your button. Yeah, pushing your button and saving it.
Just tap it like that.
Motion passes.
I don't want to get too far afield here, but just as an aside, just with the things that happened, like down in Madison last couple days with the flooding, do we have some kind of a disaster plan available so that if, you know, for example, one of our, we had flooding and it affected one of our
On
scattered
University
sites?
Avenue or something,
Or,
or-
you know, so we've already got a tenant in the program, do we have a disaster plan of what we would do if they got ousted out of their house? Or what if it were some other low-income families that got ousted out of their house because of inclement weather or something? Do we have something that we can provide them with direction?
Good point. That, they would fall under involuntarily displaced by government, or in this case, it would be natural disaster. And we do have the recent fires that we've had in Green Bay. We've had several people who have moved into Mesa Manor
Oh,
because they got this preference.
oh,
So-
okay.
Something like that, they would meet that preference. If it were a current scattered site family, I would assume that we would, you know, try to offer them another scattered site if we have that open. If we don't have one open, I think it would have to be case by case that we would have to look
Just
at
locate something.
what's, you know.
I know from the water utility situation out on Humboldt Road, when they had that problem, that they've got that disaster plan that they've been talking about on the city council, and there's a process to handle that. So I'm assuming that these folks, you know, that were at a scattered site, for example, they've been displaced because of a natural disaster, would at least initially fall into that category, where they could get some assistance under that program. I can't remember if it comes through, is that through the Salvation Army or the Red Cross?
Red Cross does displacement for a certain specific time, you know, like hotels
Yes.
or rent or things like that, someplace else for relocation. How long-term or how permanent? You know,
It's
so
probably not long-term, would be my
it
guess.
wouldn't be long-term is what I would think, so then what would?
But then it would bump them to the top of the list
Correct.
with regards to
Right.
getting a voucher potentially.
Yes.
So it might
Correct.
be a couple weeks in a hotel, but then.
Right.
They could
voucher
get a
program
voucher
also has
for
that
their
same
house or something
Right.
like that, if we
Yeah.
didn't have one available. Okay, that's what I was wondering, that's
Okay.
really good to bring that up.
And the Red Cross has been doing a multi-agency resource center when there's a disaster. So in the recent fires that took place last month, they pretty quickly, I think it was from a Thursday, they started the plans, and then Monday was the day that they had different agencies who can provide services to these victims of the fire
All
in
in
one
place.
place at one time, and invited all the families to go there to.
That's good,
Yes.
okay, wow,
So they try to put that together quickly.
yeah.
Okay, great. All right, moving on to section E, informational. GBHA bills is item number 1.
They are in your
Packet.
packet. So, talking about flooding, we do have flood insurance, and that's one of the bills that I paid.
Okay.
protects the house.
That protects the
Yeah.
house, not
Yes.
the residents.
I know, I mean, so,
To start.
there's nothing new and exciting really going on
Okay.
with bills, so.
All right, anybody have any questions? Otherwise, is there a motion to
And this is
accept?
just, you've probably like explained this before. So the scattered sites, we pay utility bills on those?
We pay water for all our scattered sites.
Okay, so that's.
We pay We Energies if the unit is vacant.
Right.
Oh, okay. So that shows we have a lot of vacant properties? So I'm just looking at Wisconsin Public Service bill, right at the last page.
We do pay what is called a utility reimbursement, and what that is if someone doesn't make enough, the 30% of their income, they would have like a zero rent, well, they also have to pay their utilities.
Sure.
So when you take the utility allowance into it, we could actually, we
Okay.
pay on behalf of that tenant we pay directly to the utility, we do not pay to the tenant.
Correct, yeah, okay.
and
You
that's
give them
what-
a subsidy like they do, like energy
Yep.
services does. Okay, yep, thank you.
So I'm gonna guess that's what a large part of that is.
Okay.
All right, so is there a motion to accept and place on file?
Actually, you don't even need a motion for the information.
Oh, all right.
Nope, you can keep right on going.
All right. GBHA financial report. Any questions? Any information you want to provide?
We're new into the year, so.
Yeah, it's kind of a naked report here, there's not a whole lot there.
So,
And we have the CCAP report.
And we're all-
I mean, the CFP, I'm sorry.
CFP.
On the last page of that, so that shows where we're at with our capital fund program.
Yep.
These download kind of slow. No offense, from page to page. It's like, all right, we've already been talking about it, and I'm still waiting for my page to come up. So the CFP is the capital funds?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right. I like it when I see all black. Okay,
All right.
I will make that, no motion.
So no questions, we'll move on to item number 3, the Langen report for July of 2018.
And that is in your packet, and you can review that. Things too out of the ordinary.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on. Housing update report. That's you.
Is that you? Yay.
Okay, so not too much, just to share that with our federal inspection coming up next week, a lot of our residents have been very helpful with reporting all of their maintenance issues so we can take care of those or have them documented. And then our Aging and Disability Resource Center nutrition program has increased numbers of participants because of new move-ins. And that's also increased donation money towards the program. So I thought it was good to share that. And Jamie and Baby are doing well.
Yay.
They visited, so some of the residents were actually super excited. One of them cried when Jamie visited, but Jamie and Baby are doing very well.
All right. Any questions?
On the applications for 2 bedrooms, you have no applications for your 2 bedrooms?
No, that's on the.
Oh, that's
I
an
haven't seen
excellent.
that one yet.
Oh!
That's an occupancy report.
Oh.
Still on the housing update.
So
Okay.
any questions on housing update?
Nope, because there was no attachment, that's why I just figured.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to number 5, the occupancy report for August 2018. And that we have here in front of us, the recent report.
Okay, so I just had to make a slight change, which is why you guys got the printout. We only have 1 vacancy for Mason Manor right now, but that will be taken care of tomorrow. She's signing her lease tomorrow. So then after tomorrow, we'll have 0 before the new ones come on. We have 3 coming available soon. As you guys can see, one, they bought a home, and then another person it was evicted for a smoking violation, and another one just went to a nursing home. So they're all probably leaving for the end of this month or the end of September. And then scattered sites, we only have 1 that just came vacant, as you can see. And then we have 2 coming up. One's for non-payment of rent, and the other one submitted a 30-day notice and won't be out till the end of September. And then they all already have someone going into the vacant ones that you guys see here, so it would be really quick. It's just the meeting's quicker than my numbers, but it'll go really quick. So that's all I
So
have.
now my question. So you have no applications for your 2 bedrooms?
For Mason Manor, yes.
For Mason Manor?
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. And are 2 bedrooms accessible? Are any of the 2 bedrooms accessible, or are those the ones, or any of those
What do you
wheelchair
consider?
accessible?
I think, yes, they are, but not with the open, kitchen bottom, the way our other accessible are, so I would
Okay.
say no if you
But do they
consider
have
that.
a barrier-free shower?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
For the showers, wait, for the 2 bedrooms, no. No.
Okay, that's what I was
No,
wondering.
those have the walk-in showers just like every
Sure.
other one,
Sure.
but we have 3 tub rooms that are roll-in showers that
Okay.
we do make sure we let those
Okay.
applicants know when they move in, if that was ever something that they needed utilized, that it's there.
Okay.
I like the big print, because that means we don't have a whole lot of.
Me too.
All right. Any further questions? All right, then.
Good job.
Moving on to item number 6. It says 7, but it's 6. Updates on Brown County Homeless and Housing Coalition.
Oh, you missed Beto?
Oh, there it is. It
Am I
gets bumped around. All right, so item number 6, update on bed bug situation.
Okay, so I will have a better answer for you next month, just because by the end of this month, which is on the 30th, is when the dog's coming back to check all the units that have been treated. So then I'll have a really good answer for you if they all check out.
So the dogs are coming back with the REACT inspectors at the same time?
Yep, same time.
Okay.
Yep.
Put them in
But
the same room
but then the
together.
REACT is only at scattered sites though. All that
Okay,
days.
that's it.
Yeah.
Ah.
Mason Manor is on Monday, the 27th, so we're good.
You
But
don't-
we
you
do
don't
that
wanna put them in the
because.
same room together?
Right? That's totally horrible. But no, that's just for Mesa Manor, and then their reacting will be done. And those, we have to follow the 30-day because of the safety for the dog,
Sure.
per the
But
treatment.
how many do we have now? Like, what,
That
that we have bed bugs in?
That are current, that hasn't been treated or anything?
Right, but, well, how many are we aware of right now?
Right now, there's a potential one that came up. We just
Okay.
had it checked. We didn't find anything, but the
Okay.
person had bites on their body, so
Okay.
we're gonna to look into that. That would be the potential only one
Oh.
that we know of right now.
Great.
Otherwise, the other 7 that are gonna be treated or
Yeah.
gonna be inspected, I'm hoping all 7 is good. So,
Sweet.
yep.
Okay.
Any further questions?
No,
All right,
thank you.
now on to number 7. Updates on Brown County Homeless and Housing Coalition.
Okay, so this is also in your packet, the summary sheet, and I want to just keep this group aware of things that are happening in the larger community beyond the GDHA, of things in regards to housing and homelessness. So as I'm sure I've mentioned before, the Green Bay Housing Authority is a member of the Brown County Homeless and Housing Coalition, which is a collaboration of other social service providers, mostly service providers of housing, but also other service providers, who work towards ending and reducing homelessness and helping people who are housing deficient. One big thing that is changing with the coalition is that for the first time, they have received funding to hire staff directly. So currently, in the entire history of the coalition, it's always been professionals who work in the field who are donating their time to make that coalition possible. And they received 2 different grants. One was from the Greater Green Bay Community Foundations, and the other, I believe, was from the Balance of State or from HUD to do coordinated entry. So the coordinated entry, I may have talked about, that is allowing people in the community who need housing, who have barriers to housing, to go on this system, and different service providers who receive shelter funding from HUD. So it doesn't include us as a housing authority,
Right.
but shelter providers are required to use this system and select their next participants in their programs from this coordinated entry system.
Okay.
So that has been a pretty time-intensive project for the people who work with that system to coordinate everything and data entry and reporting. And so one of the positions that the coalition receive funding for is a dedicated staff person to coordinate that system. And the other position is a leadership type of position, an executive director for the coalition, to make the community more aware of what the coalition is, what they're doing, what the needs are regarding housing and homelessness, and to try to raise funds to help alleviate that problem. So I just wanted to make you aware of that change,
Thank you.
because that's going to be pretty fundamental for our community to have focused staff to work on this issue.
Yeah, great, thank you.
If there's anything we can do to be supportive, let us know.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions? Otherwise, looks like we're moving on to the next item, date of next meeting, September 27th.
So I wanted to remind you, that's moved back a week because of the Waha conference is
Yeah.
the third week.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right.
And if you could, I have one other announcement
Sure.
I'd like to make. I have submitted my resignation. So my last day will be September 21st. So
Wow,
Yes.
that was quite shocking.
the
We're gonna-
staff will do great. They are in a really good position with, as you know, bed bugs are much better, unit turnaround is much better, so the staff will do great. And I'm sure that they will hire somebody who's going to do a wonderful job leading the team.
So you will be here for the next meeting, or you won't be?
I will not be.
You will not be. Well, sorry to hear that, but
Yeah.
hopefully you're moving on, it's something you're looking forward to, so.
We'll have big shoes to fill.
Yes.
Robin's gonna work with us on that, she'll be here to do it first, which is good, so.
We are deeply indebted to you for all
Yes,
you've done.
you have, yeah.
Keeping us organized.
Taken over
together,
from
and-
Keith and just ran a smooth ship, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there, on that sad note, a motion to adjourn?
I will make that motion.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye, or do we have to log in on this one?
Nope, just
All right.
voice vote is fine.
All right, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you all very